The Committee on Parole is called back to order. Today's date is January the 11th. The time is 11:02. Our next case is Mr. Joseph M Glaviana. Mr. Glaviana, could you please give us your full name and DOC number?
59-282, Joseph Michael Glaviana.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then the board is going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who've indicated that they wish to speak to have their input. Speaking on your behalf today is going to be Mr. Andrew Hunley with the Parole Project, Mr. Danny Hoover, your attorney, Ms. Jill Pasquarella, will also be Ms. Pasquarella. I guess you'll want to talk at the end after Mr. Glaviano gives his last say.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And at the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement, Mr. Glaviano, if you wish to, and then we'll turn it over to Ms. Pasquarella. Do you understand that process?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Mr. Glaviana is a little bit hard of hearing. So with the committee's indulgence, I may repeat some questions. His comprehension is also not so great, so I may do that. And one other thing, I wanted to just correct the packet that I had submitted. At the time I submitted it, I wasn't sure about whether he had actually completed phase 4 of the risk management program, but I was able to confirm with LSP staff yesterday that he has completed phase 4. It's just that the progress report didn't have that, but we do have the certificate. So I wanted to put that on the record, and thank you for your indulgence.
Good. Whatever you need to say to him, you go ahead and do it. We'll work with you on that regard.
Great, thank you.
This is Joseph M. Glaviano, 59282. Date of birth is November the 18th of 1942. He's a first-class offender. He has a parole eligibility date of June 17th, 2022. He is not entitled to good time. He is serving a life sentence on the charges of 2 counts of aggravated rape. Mr. Glaviano, does that all sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Ms. Pearl Wise. She will begin our interview process. Would you answer any questions she has? And if you have any difficulty hearing, you certainly can confer with your lawyer. Okay?
Asking you to answer the questions.
What's your question?
Ms. Wise is going to ask you some questions, and then
My first question is, how old are you today?
How old are you?
80.
How long you been in jail?
How long have you been in prison?
Since 1964,
Okay.
January the 15th.
Okay.
1963.
Okay. What are you hoping will happen today?
I'm hoping to make parole so I can go home somewhere.
Where you going?
I'm supposed to be going someplace in New Orleans somewhere. How?
Whose program? Whose program are you going to?
Huh?
Whose program are you going to?
And is
Louisiana Parole Project. That sounds familiar?
yeah.
He's saying Andy's program, Andrew's program.
Okay, good. So you believe that you will be able to be comfortable there and do what they ask you to do?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
You gonna cooperate?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay. Now, since 1964, how many write-ups have you had? Do you remember?
About what, 12, 17,
Okay.
somewhere around there?
Yeah, 17.
And when was your last one?
74, 75, somewhere around there.
I think 96, I think.
96.
Yeah, 96, I think so. You think? Somewhere around there?
With the 24th, Rule 24. 1996.
1996,
Uh-huh. So what do you do every day now?
ma'am.
What do you do every day?
Right now, nothing but watch TV all day.
Okay. You managed to stay out of trouble doing that, huh? Is anyone there from the medical staff? Is anyone from the medical staff there on your behalf, or are you on your own today?
This is Warden Falgout. No one's here on the medical side, but I do have a summary.
Yes.
Mr. Glaviana, at the time of this writing, he's now 80-year-old male with past medical history of type 2 diabetes, coronary artery disease with a past history of coronary artery bypass, chronic venous insufficiency, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, benign prostatic hypertrophy with lower urinary tract symptoms, status post-prostatectomy, diverticulitis, status post-sigmoid colectomy with a colostomy, hepatitis C with successful treatment, which is now resolved, abdominal aortic aneurysm, status post-abdominal aortic graft, osteoarthritic changes in the right hip. He is seen by primary care, cardiology, vascular surgery, and urology. He currently has a no duty status as he's housed in Ash 1, which is an assisted living dorm here at Angola, and seldom makes sick call.
Thank you, Warden. You can go ahead and tell us what else you want us to know. Anything else you want us to know about him?
Joseph, although
She's talking to the warden.
Joseph came here in the first thing in his record shows May 27th of 1964. He worked at the tag plant. Then I made a comment earlier, and I can put it on here. It seems he then worked in the boiler room, and we kind of made a comment about it that he was working in the boiler room, kind of being facetious when you still threw wood in the fire to get the water to boil. Went to road and levee back in the early 90s, and then worked on the range crew from 98 until as recently as April of 22, when he was became a patient on nursing unit 1 again. And at that time, medical went ahead and did a no duty status for him and placed him in a medical dorm. Joseph has always, last several decades, been in jobs that were of trust and independence. So, and again, like you said, his last write-up was in 96.
Thank you, Warden. I appreciate it. Mr. Joseph.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to inform you, though, as a part of this process, we reach out to the law enforcement community to get their opinion about your release. And there is some opposition. I'm stating that for the record. There's nothing you can do about it. And I also want to state on the record that probation parole were not able to reach your victims. And we don't have their input today as to their views on you getting out early. I just wanted to state that for the record. The last question I have is that it's my understanding that your nickname is Smiley. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did that come from?
Where did you get the nickname Smiley?
Well, they had too many Mikes and Josephs in the dorm, so I was always smiling, and they said that's a good name for you.
Okay.
And I told them to spell it for me, and I'll mark it on my sheet.
Great. Well, that's all I have. That's all I have, Sheriff. Thank you.
Mr. Hunley?
Andrew Hunley, Louisiana Parole Project, Smiley knows me as Andy. We worked on the range group together. If you want Smiley to get animated, ask him about fishing. His job for the last couple decades was to fish and clean fish at Angola. And he did that until recently. Big Lou has already committed, if Smiley's released, to take Smiley fishing. I told Smiley that, and he told me to tell Big Lou he doesn't need his help. He can do it on his own. If the board grants Mr. Glaviana's release, Parole Project commits to assist him with his reentry. Obviously, his reentry will be more cumbersome than most people because of his medical issues, but we're committed to help him ensure that he has access to medical care. And then, over the next couple of years, as he needs, increased assistance with medical issues, we will work to ensure that he has all those taken care of and that he always has housing and appropriate care. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Huntley. Mr. Hoover, is Mr. Hoover on the?
Here,
He's here with us.
what I need to.
You want to sit down here?
Yes.
Morning, Mr. Hoover.
Good morning. I'm Daniel Hoover. I was the prison enterprise agriculture manager for almost 25 years. I just retired in September. When I started, Smiley was on the farm. He was already a trustee. He was many times he was designated a stick out. So he was well trusted, never a display problem, always tended to his work and did whatever he was asked to do.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Mr. Glaviano, is there anything you'd like to say? Ms. Pasquarello, I will let you decide whether you want him to say anything or not. Then you can go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else that you want to say?
No, but
Okay, well, Warden Benoit wants to speak as well. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure if he was here. Great. Hold on. Warden Benoit is going to speak first, and then you'll get a chance to say something. He's going to be on the video.
Good morning.
Good morning. Y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all today?
We're doing very well. How about you?
Doing great, thank you.
How you doing, Warden?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Good to see you, Mr. Rochelle.
Nice seeing you, sir. What would you like to tell us about Smiley?
Okay, y'all ready for me? Okay, yes. I've known Smiley a very long time. He's always been a guy that was in a trusted position. When I went to Angola so many years ago, I remember right where he was working. He was running the boiler room up at the reception center by the front gate. When I went to Angola, he was in a trusted position then. He's always been a very quiet kind of a guy, never give us any problem. We could always trust Smiley. We call him Smiley. We could always trust him in any position that we need him in. I don't think that Smiley that you see now is the same guy that committed that crime so many years ago. And I do not think that he would be a threat to society at all.
Thank you, Warden. We do appreciate your comments, and it's great seeing you.
Great seeing y'all. Happy New Year to everyone.
Same to you. Same to you. Okay, Ms. Pasquarello?
Yes, sir. In 1963, Mr. Glaviana was 20 years old. He had a 5th grade education. Reading and writing was difficult for him. As Warden Benoit just said, after 60 years of incarceration, Mr. Glaviana has long left behind that 20-year-old man. He accepted responsibility for his crime in 1964 when he agreed to plead guilty. And when he pled guilty, he was promised that the punishment for his crime would be 10 years and 6 months of a life sentence. That promise was broken, and instead he sits before you an old man, having served 6 times the sentence he agreed to when he pled guilty. He has spent a lifetime in prison and today is actually the longest serving individual at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. He has long ago seen his co-defendants be released. He's seen generations of wardens and security come up through the ranks and retire. He's lost many friends and family. And 40 years ago, he had to come to terms with the fact that he would never maybe get out of this prison. But through it all and all that he's experienced, he has maintained a good attitude, sometimes gruff, but good attitude. He's been a hard, steady worker, and he's gained respect by the people and trust by the people that have known him the best over the last 60 years. I think best evidenced by the statements from Warden Menuet and Mr. Hoover today. Personally, I think those endorsements of Mr. Hoover and Warden Menuet are probably the best evidence that Mr. Glaviana is going to do just as he has done for the better part of 60 years if he's released today. But just to back up their perspective, I'll just put on the record that Mr. Glaviana has been a Class A trustee for over 30 years. He's lived in Camp F for the majority of that time. He has only had 17 write-ups, as you heard, in 60 years, none for violence, and the last was 27 years ago. His health, as you heard from Warden Falgu, and I did submit a letter in the packet as well, is in steep decline. He's no longer able to work. He's been on no duty status since April of last year. He spends most of his time in this wheelchair that he's in this morning. He's been hospitalized 9 times outside of the prison in the last 3 years. And he has heart disease, diabetes, COPD, ruptured diverticulitis, and uses a colostomy bag. All of that said, as you heard from Andrew, Louisiana Parole Project is prepared to support Mr. Glaviana fully if released with the medical treatment he needs and the support that he needs, and in providing a safe and supportive environment for him. We're looking forward to him spending his remaining years with us and being the good-natured guy that he has been all these 60 years. Thank you very much for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any questions. Is panel ready to vote?
Yes.
Ms. Wise?
Mr. Joseph, my vote is to grant your parole, because of, the outstanding institutional record, as was already stated, the outstanding transition plan, and the fact that in 1964, you were smiling, and that just speaks volumes right there. Best wishes to you. I concur that you cooperate with the Louisiana Parole Project and stay with them and let them help you decide what's next. Complete their program with them. Best wishes to you.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Mr. Roche?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Glaviana, good afternoon.
He's saying good afternoon to you.
Good morning, I guess.
It's still morning.
Still morning, ain't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, when you've been sitting here since 7 o'clock this morning, it feels like afternoon. Mr. Glaviana, you ready to give up your title as a longest serving inmate in Louisiana?
Are you ready to give up your position as the longest serving inmate?
Oh, yeah, sir. Very much.
Glaviana, based on you completing all 4 phases of your sex offender treatment, based upon your age, based upon the length of your incarceration, and based upon a good transition plan with the Louisiana Parole Project, I grant your early release.
Thank you.
Granting your parole release.
Thank you.
Glaviano, I agree with my 2 colleagues. My vote likewise is to grant, so your parole has been granted today to the Louisiana Parole Project. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's unpack that. This is fascinating. The longest serving inmate in Louisiana. We just saw it right here being granted parole. Of course, I don't think there's any chance that we'll find any information on how on the details of his crime. And what I would like to learn from on this in the comment section is, there's a lot of people that comment, subscribers that have been assaulted and have very strong opinions. So more so than me sharing my thoughts, I really do want to hear how you feel about this case playing out. This man served, it's here in history, the longest serving man in all of the Louisiana system. He was born, I think, before the U.S. even entered World War II. He was convicted of a crime in 1964. And he was promised a 10-year, 6-month sentence, which I totally believe, because those are typical sentences for these type of crimes. And somehow this man got shafted on what he agreed to. He's basically, that was it, spent his whole life locked up. He's, I can't, I'm just, for the sake of continuing in the comments, I'm going to take away any bias of the actual crime and just talk about someone who just seems so likable, kind of like a Santa Claus. He can't harm anyone right now. He's in a wheelchair. I would think that someone, if you're going to say like, this is the time that someone should get out, I don't think there's anyone losing sleep over this, except for the police force, which is like, that's just a joke. It really is just a joke. And it's so pathetic how they don't even realize how bad it makes them look. And I think every single, if not every, almost every single hearing that we have, it's always like, they're not opposed, the judge isn't opposed, the victim's not opposed, but the sheriff's office is opposed. And it's like, they lose all credibility for their opinion means nothing, and they don't even realize that. No one cares what they say, because if you're going to say that you're opposed of someone who was sentenced in 1964, there's not one person alive in your police force that knows who that person is. So they're just like getting a phone call and just like auto-responding, or an email auto-responding, yes, we oppose. And yeah, great. Really doing everyone a lot of favors by opposing there. Great job. I don't even think they'd have to be clueless to the fact. You don't need to oppose everyone. It's not saying a lot very good things about the culture of your police department. That's just my opinion. And maybe it's not fair to judge the culture of a police department based off of something like that. It could just be one person sitting in an office that's just checking boxes. Who knows? So, but I just thought it was interesting to point that out. Smiley. That is a fitting name for who I saw in this thing. He's still, I think, cognitively all there. I mean, who could hear the board over the Zoom call, right? I think he just had a difficulty hearing them, but the idea that he quickly snapped back that it was still the morning time shows me that he's got all his cognitive function. How is he going to react? Like he's excited. Mr. O'Shea's it was funny. Are you ready to give up your title of the longest serving inmate in Louisiana? And he's like, yes, I am ready. But is he? That's the thing. Like, he is just, I've said this now many times, but this man is going to be hopping into a time machine and he is not going to know where he's ended up. I mean, he'll know just from watching TV which he does a lot of. But I don't know how that translates into the real world. And he's got no family. He's got nothing. When you live that old, you have nothing. No kids, no siblings, nothing. It's like the movie, what is it, Shawshank Redemption? He's going to get out and what's he going to do? You know, in this prison, he's probably somewhat legendary and respected. And he's going to be just a nobody and a nothing when he wherever he goes. I wonder if he's going to wheel his wheelchair into some shop and rob it so he can get back. But maybe not. Maybe he's ready to have a good... I mean, he's never had McDonald's or anything. What's he going to eat? Like, it's not even like he can go to his favorite fast food restaurant. Everything's going to be new. Man. All right. So with that, I'll let you go.